Hello, everybody. I'm Anusha Subramanian. I'm a journalist and outdoor specialist now. An outdoor specialist who just does not play in the lower altitudes of the Sahyadris, but actually mainly in the Himalayan terrain. I just love being in the outdoors, and because the outdoors just embraces you with open arms. For those who haven't really experienced the outdoors like the way I do, let me tell you, it can be exhilarating, it can be inspiring, it can also be therapeutic. But what I've realized is that unfortunately, these outdoors are just not accessible to everyone very easily. Uh, I realize the mountains and the outdoors don't differentiate among people, and but we tend to differentiate and include some, leave out a few. Why can't persons with disability, senior citizens, women, members of the LGBTQ community all enjoy this vast bounty of nature freely as all of us do? Uh, so there are many such whys and whos, and what I decided was to try and change what I can do and what I can concentrate on largely. Uh, as a child, I was very active and sporty. I started trekking in the Sahyadris when I was just 7 years old. Did a lot of rock climbing, led treks in the Sahyadris. But as I was growing up, I also falsely labored under the impression that the Himalayan terrain is just not for me. I was really scared because I was told by a few people that a chronic asthmatic and allergic asthmatic like me cannot take the risk of being in the high altitudes, and which is why I didn't do my mountaineering course at a very early age. But then one day in 2005, a friend actually invited me on a Himalayan trek and said, try it, let's see what happens. And the very sound of try it, let's see what happens sounded so good to me. There was confidence, there was encouragement. I just packed my bag. I packed 6 inhalers with me, Astlin inhalers, some medicine strips, doctor's letter, and next I was seen in the snowy slopes of Arunachal Pradesh. I trekked trekked 15,000 feet, and guess how many inhalers I would have used actually, or medicines would have consumed during that entire trek. Any guesses, anybody? Well, none at all. So it just takes one person, one gesture, one word, probably one sentence to give you that confidence, to give you that encouragement, and to empower you. Empowerment, that's the topic today. It's a big word, and it's often a misunderstood word. In my opinion, empowerment is within ourselves. It is within ourselves to empower and go ahead in whatever we are doing. The rest of the world, according to me, are just enablers. Rather, I would call them embracers. Uh, for me, empowerment is inclusion and providing equal opportunities to all, uh, including myself. Uh, I would, it's since 2000, you might wonder, why am I so passionate about this word inclusion? That's because, even as an able-bodied person, I have been excluded on many fronts. Sometimes it's because I'm an asthmatic, sometimes it's because I'm a woman. Uh, Perceptions are so deeply ingrained in all of us that even the Mountaineering Institute, where I did my course, uh, felt that I should not be in that place. But it was purely through my sheer grit and determination that I kind of plowed through all those constraints. I empowered myself to be able to change the mindsets of people around me and to accept me the way I am. And since then, since 2005, actually, there's been no looking back for me. I have climbed and trekked across the Indian Himalayas, Nepal Himalayas, and also climbed and trekked in two continents outside of Asia. The outdoors and nature embraced me totally, and I embraced my true potential. As members of the larger society, let me ask you one question. Let me ask you, what does inclusion mean to all of you? And when you talk of inclusion, or when you think of inclusion, think discrimination, think exclusion. Because according to me, where there is inclusion, there is definitely exclusion as well. You know, when I've asked this question in conversations with friends, in various other forums, a lot of big words have been thrown back at me. People have talked of caste, socioeconomic background, educational qualifications. A few have thrown words like sexual orientation and gender identity. However, not once till until now that I've heard a word disabled or persons with disability. Think about it. Why so? That's because they are never around us. We've never spent enough time with them. We don't know where they are. They kept aloof. They've kept away from the main society, or they choose to be aloof. Even if we've gone to school with them, we've never spent enough time with them. I was once in the same predicament as you are right now. Until one day, and despite having been excluded as an able-bodied person, I myself have excluded others and left them out in the activities that I indulged in, simply because I think it never crossed my mind. They never crossed my mind, actually. Until one day when I got an opportunity from an organization which actually wanted to utilize my skill set in the outdoors as an able-bodied person. All they wanted me to do was accompany a person with disability on a short hike. When I went on the short hike, my partner was a blind man, and I was walking with him and to this hilltop, and I realized to myself, I was just wondering, who are we to decide who's worthy and who's capable, who's not capable? And that short hike actually changed my perception. It changed me. I then started volunteering with this organization that actually works with persons with disability and able-bodied alike in the outdoors. I learned little nuances of, how to communicate with persons with disability in the outdoors, especially the blind. How to communicate, how to handle them in the outdoors. Well, I've spent a lot of time with amputees, with the blind, autistic individuals, dyslexic individuals. And the one thing that finally I realized was that they are just as normal as all of us are, and better than many of us, I would say. I've been going to the mountains for over 2 decades now. I mean, actually 2 decades. And in the last 3 or 4 years, something has changed for me. I've been climbing mountains because I love to climb them. But in the last 3 or 4 years, climbing and doing adventure activities in the Himalayas or the Sahyadris has come with a purpose to me. I took up this challenge in 2017 when I participated in Manali to Khardumla tandem cycling expedition, where I cycled along with the blind and amputees and raised funds for this organization that helps persons with disability undertake adventure sports in the outdoors. Thereafter, the experience that I gained from the tandem cycling expedition was amazing. I realized, how much we could do as able-bodied person. And I kind of then put my uh, experience and learnings together to put up another expedition in 2018 to Mount Kilimanjaro, uh, where I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, which is the highest freestanding mountain in the world in Africa, with 3 blind men and 10 sighted individuals, all of whom were actually climbing high altitude mountain for the very first time. After an arduous trek of almost 7 days, we reached on top of Uru Peak on September 13, 2018. All of us were there together on top of Uru Peak. Lately, in December 2019, I did another beautiful adventure trail challenge of 50 kilometers in the Sahyadri. This again with a blind friend of mine. We waded through water. We scrambled through rocks. We climbed rocks. We walked in the jungle in the dark. We thoroughly enjoyed the adventurous trip. And in 16 hours, we completed the 15 kilometers challenge. So it is possible. It is possible if you have the confidence and if you can encourage the other person and give them the confidence that you can do something like this. Society prejudices are so many, and we often, succumb to all of these societal prejudices. Uh, there are exclusion is not only towards persons with disability, but there are gender biases in the outdoors as well. It is generally considered that men are much stronger and therefore they are able to handle situations in the mountains very easily. But I would say that I have tried to change that. I have been sponsoring girls in Uttarakhand who have now taken up adventure as a career and are working with us in Uttarakhand, and they're getting independent in this space. The other section which is generally left out from the outdoors and doing such activities are the senior citizens. They are generally considered weak, have outlived their usefulness to the society. I've again tried to change that by including them in our treks, both in the lower altitude in Sayadri as well as in the Himalayas. And as a matter of fact, today, a larger group size of ours includes senior citizens and women over the age of 50, who again are a marginalized section of the society. They make for our larger groups of treks. So I'm very happy to say that we're confident and we can take everybody and give them the experience of the outdoors. Climbing mountains for me has never been about proving anything to anyone or to my own self. It's always been about providing and inculcating inclusion, cultivating that inclusive space in the outdoors. Uh, I started this journey by talking to my business partners, telling them what I'd like to do. They resonated. And today, like I said, we're very confident. They are trained to handle persons with disability in the outdoors. We've learned sighted, guided techniques. And today we can take everybody to the mountains and each one can enjoy the bounties of nature. Uh, Today, anyone I speak with, I always try to reiterate the conversation around inclusion, trying to understand what people know about inclusion. Because it is only through simple conversations and simple talking is all that is required. Try it. Just simply talk about, and the rest will just follow. For me, I've always believed that if you want to bring about or see a change in the society, you have to be that change. Only then you will be able to move something. And all I would say is have conversation. The rest will just follow. Try it. Let's see what happens. Thank you so much.